So here we are again with a discourse that really pertains to national security and national matters. 12 minutes gone past the hour of 9 on the AM side, and you already know this is Eagle's Outlook. We talk politics, we talk current affairs on here and right here. Now, we'll be looking into matters of concern. The issue that borders around and about the designation of Nigeria as a CPC. I always say that sounds to me like a political party, but no, this calls for trouble indeed. Country of particular concern, and this is what we'll be looking into this morning, as we were designated into this by the United States of America. My name is Udwak Daniel, and yes, the discourse surrounding Donald Trump's threat to intervene in Nigeria's internal affairs has indeed sparked intense debate. Everybody's running munu 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 kutu kutu kiti kiti kata kata here and there, asking questions and making it a focal discourse point. I mean, let me take you through some of the issues. Now, Trump's allegation was on the Nigerian government for allowing, according to him, the killing of Christians and threaten to stop all aid and assistance to Nigeria, potentially sending U.S. troops to intervene. Now, the Nigerian government strongly denied the allegations, emphasizing that the country is a secular democracy where freedom of religion is constitutionally guaranteed. All right. Now, they also stressed that the government's efforts to address security challenges are not targeted at any particular group. Now, that's what the government response was summarily about. Now, experts and analysts have criticized Trump's comments as inflammatory and very unhelpful, warning that they could escalate tension and undermine diplomatic relations between the two countries and all. But when it comes to our security challenges Nigeria is indeed facing, let's not even lie to ourselves. We already know this, okay? And we are facing significant security challenges, including Boko Haram and banditry, kidnappings here and there, which put it all together. It's terrorism. Now, I don't know how we began to give these names, banditry, kidnapping. I don't know how we started to brand them names, but terrorism is terrorism. But, well, that it is what it is. And their heinous crimes, their actions and inactions, their activities have resulted in the displacement and killing of many people. However, some are arguing that that the situation is more complex than Trump's narrative suggests. All right, now there have been many who have called for diplomacy and cooperation between the U.S. and Nigeria to address these seemingly unending security challenges, rather than resorting to threats, rather than resorting to military action. Some potential implications of Trump's threat include strained diplomatic relations. Oh, yes. Now, Trump's comments have already led to a strain in diplomatic relations between the U.S. and Nigeria, with the Nigerian government rejecting the allegations and emphasizing its sovereignty. Another point will be the fact that the threat of military action could escalate tensions and create more instability in the region. Yet another would be the fact that Trump's comments may undermine trust in the U.S. government's ability to engage with Nigeria in a constructive and respectful manner. But overall, though, the situation is highlighting the complexities of international relations and the need for nuanced and informed approaches to addressing security challenges. I mean, that's the bane of it. But we will look into the U.S.-Nigeria relationship, the cooperation, and its challenges. And our guest to have this discourse with us would be an information professional, a policy and public affairs analyst, is in the person of Benedict Olaliko Agunoye. He's going to be doing justice to the discourse. But first of all, let's delve into a background for the discourse. And we will look at not what many are looking at per se when it comes to the topical issue or the strained relationship between the US and Nigeria at the moment and the tensions that abound. But we will look at how can we cash in on the CPC designate for Nigeria to ensure that we don't cry over spilled milk, to ensure that we make good use, judicious use of the situation and do the right thing. Because many a time we have been focusing on the troubles, the woes, the perils, and everything. This is not to say that these troubles, these challenges, this chaos, this riots, this protests should be undermined and treated with kids' gloves. But this is to say that if this is an awakening, what is the way forward? So the relationship between the United States and Nigeria, oh yeah, it's complex. With cooperation in areas like security, trade, and investment, but also challenges such as human rights and religious freedom. I mean, think about it. In recent times, the US has designated Nigeria as a country of particular concern due to severe violations of religious freedom, that's on the one part, particularly against Christians on the second part, as well as the infringement on human rights. So this could lead to sanctions and restrictions. Now let's look at the US and Nigeria relationship. I mean, we have had a long history of cooperation and challenges. I mean, if you go back into the 1980s, right, the US was a major market for Nigerian oil export. However, the relationship was strained in the 1990s due to human rights concerns and Nigeria's military role. But let's fast forward to 1999, when Nigeria's transition to democracy improved the relations again. And the US became a key partner in promoting economic development and stability in our region. Okay, add one more year to 1999 and you will get 2000. Recall that in the year 2000, Nigeria and the US signed a trade and investment framework agreement, and Nigeria became eligible. If you recall, this is not the first time the US or the international community, precisely US, had attempted to join forces with our military. That last time, they mapped out with the military. When the attack was supposed to be carried out, they discovered that their plans had already been sold out to the terrorists. So the question is, how did it leak to the terrorists? Did we give it to the terrorists? Was it the Nigerian military that was compromised? And so they left. Said, we know our problem. We are the problem. We know the problem. We know. You know. So what is the point? You guys already know your problem, so why not just fix it? This is not something we have to come to help in whatever way. But ever since they left and these crimes, these killings, this terrorism continued with peoples of diverse faith, beliefs affected. Have we won the fight? Have we been able to nip it in the bud just yet? Let me also take you to some other extent. The US-Nigeria relationship is built on mutual interest, shared values, and significant challenges. Nigeria is a key player in African politics and a critical ally in the fight against terrorism and regional instability. So the US is Nigeria's largest foreign investor. So for all of y'all to be asking questions, oh, what are we going to lose? Well, we're going to lose. We will lose. Because they are Nigeria's largest foreign investor. And bilateral trade exceeds 13 billion US dollars. However, the relationship is also marked by challenges, including human rights concerns, religious freedom violations, and insecurity. I mean, the US has designated Nigeria now as a CPC. So what Nigeria is waiting to face now are sanctions. Left, right, and center. Not just sanctions, restrictions. The US have also provided security assistance in Nigeria. They've provided training, they've provided equipment. And this is to combat Boko Haram, ISIS West Africa. Yet, the CPC designation could lead to reduced security cooperation and economic development, as we are already seeing with our Naira. We're already seeing with investors the hard-earned, sought-for investors, the hard work of Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, traveling outside the shores of Nigeria, trying to get investors and all of that. Now these investors already having fears. Some may pull out, maybe more. Because I don't know the sense in investing in a country where there is insecurity at a crescendo. So don't blame the investors. Blame us. If there are lists of names of persons who are complicit in this entire terrorism thingy, why not bring them to book? Or does the Constitution not hold sway anymore? I thought it was a document that everybody should respect, adhere to. Because we keep saying it. Every Nigerian is equal. In 2016, the US provided 45 million US dollars in humanitarian assistance to Nigeria to help victims of Boko Haram's insurgency. Despite this, though, many Nigerians still suffer from the conflict. So the CPC designation be, what are the opportunities available to Nigeria? In the light of the sanctions that may arise from the country of particular interest concern, and how can we key into it to make Nigeria greater? Good morning and welcome, Mr. Benjamin. Olalekan,
good morning.
Right. Feels good to have you in the discourse this morning.
Good morning.
Right. It is no news anymore, the fact that we have been designated a country of particular concern. What comes to you and what do you think the focal point should be for us? From our end, we believe that this might just be an opportunity for us to change the status quo. What do you think?
Yeah, for sure. When you look at the situation, yes, there are security concerns in the land. Yes, there are issues that should involve all. I think that people have died and people are dying. So it is not an issue of religion, in my opinion, nor is it even that of ethnic cleansing. The insecurity has affected virtually every strata of the nation. Now, looking at America, I think that over time they should have learned that it is pointless and stupid for them to single out Nigeria for any action. Clinton came to Africa in Abacha days. Yes, we might say there were human rights records. He didn't come to Nigeria. Himself realized that his visit to Africa for 8 days was a waste because he couldn't come into Nigeria. And that was why, before he left office in 2000, even though he was already close to handing over, he had to make a 3-day visit to Nigeria. Obama also did the same. He was in office for 8 years. Obama didn't get any results from Africa because he did not have a good relationship with Nigeria. So whether you take it or leave Nigeria out of the picture, America venture in Africa will just be waste of money. They know it. But somebody that knows you are so important to him should not always lord it over you and talk down on you. I would also say, if you look at the African matter, every other continent needed Nigeria more than we need them as it relates to their relationship with the African continent. So if Trump throwing any tantrum, I think, to me, there are more of tantrums. Yes, he's free to come up with his sanction. The sanction should open us to opportunity to new relationships. As if you tell me you are not selling me arms, for instance, I then should be able to go to Germany, I then should be able to go to Russia or elsewhere and look at alternatives. Now, when you look at nations where U.S. have been, what is the outcome? What did the people of Iraq benefited from U.S. intervention? What did the people of Libya benefited from U.S. intervention? Even Afghanistan, were they able to resolve the problem in Afghanistan? They left. What do we do with our roads? What do we do with our local refining? How do we develop our human capital, which is a basic advantage that we have over most of the nations on earth? When you say human resources, we are there. So we should focus more our energy and time on sorting out our own issues. If they are ready to help to sort out, we will bring them along, but they will not dictate the pace and they will not talk down on the nation. We can survive without America. And if there are people who think America is the all in all, they can as well apply for asylum and go there and live. Nobody will bother them. So if he is giving sanction, I'm sure it would open door for asylum. So those who are his praise singers can possibly go to him as asylum if he will welcome them. But for those of us that is left and as for the nation, we need to look more critically. How do we put an end to killings? How do we get our forests and our resources secured? There has been a link between illegal mining and some of the kind of terrorism or crisis, that banditry that we have. Now, if illegal mining is at the root of some of them, then it tells you that it is not a religious coloration, and nobody should give it religious coloration to divert attention from the real issue. So in areas where, and we know that solid minerals abound across the nation, both what we already know and what we don't know. So I think the effort should be at that level. We securing our forest, we safeguarding what we have on the surface and what we have underneath the earth, and profiting and benefiting from it. So we're looking at our extractive industry, we're looking at, now the president at some point had mentioned the forest guard system. And I think that for me, sometimes those are things that should be more important to us and should be on the surface. What do we do to ensure that these forces are in place and that we are securing our land, we are securing our borders, and we are getting value for the resources that God has endowed the nation with? America can be a big trade partner. They can choose to be the world police. But I tell you, a strained relationship with Nigeria is more injurious to America on the African continent than to Nigeria itself. So they should not threaten us. That's what I believe. It shouldn't be a threat. It shouldn't be a source of concern. It shouldn't even be a source of worry. Our worry and concern should be on the land. Fixing our infrastructure, empowering our people, building more of what we are known for. We are known for human capital, and we need to develop it. Whether they like it or not, the nurses and the doctors that leave Nigeria for the UK, for Germany, for even the US itself, do not go back to start from the scratch. Maximum, you ask them to write a certification examination, which they have always passed. They don't fail it. So it tells you that the building system that we have, no matter how much it's been meeting up, our engineers go to Germany or anywhere in the world and get rejected, even though we claim we have only trained them with handouts. But because of the ingenuity of the average Nigerian person, whatever system you are subjected into, he has come out strong and he has come out more respected. So we should be focusing on the merit of what we have, on building up our capacity, on sourcing alternatives. At the moment, what are the things that we take from the US? Some of the aid we talk about, 60 to 70% of it goes into bureaucracy and not even to direct empowering the people.
When you mean it goes to bureaucracy, what exactly do you mean?
Oh, when it goes to bureaucracy, check out some of the NGOs, ask for their budget, see what they spend on cars and their own staff as against what is spent on the project and the people for the purpose for which that NGO was launched. So when the aid come and is going to go into buying bulletproof car, into renting office, into paying flight tickets for staff, into all manners of things that does not directly relate to the purpose, like to the primary purpose. That's what I mean when I say it goes into bureaucracy. The directors of some of the agencies that they are funding are living large. And so if they cut it off, yes, they will be paying at that level. But you might realize that the impact at the grassroots may just be minimal. That is if at all it is even felt. So we need not paint a wrong picture or over-bloated image of the American system. Some of what we call NGO or aids and support in Africa are relatively bogus, because you're going to buy computers and the computers are going to come from the US market. Or it's not like they are produced locally. It's not like you are looking at local vendors. Even when you want Nigerians to bring it, the brands are specified. To a large extent, it is a revolving system, our own economy, much more than our own. And then in the end, they are making use of our resources, that's our human resources, to bolster the image of their organization. So it is not that Nigeria is gaining while America is losing in our relationship. No. In my opinion, they are gaining more for their image and for mileage of their effort than they are actually investing. And so we should not be in any position to fret or be threatened. Rather, we should prepare to be ready to close the gaps that may be open in the event of any sanction. And I tell you that Nigeria remains the beautiful bride that anybody in the world will see that opportunity and want to look into it. I think that today the Chinese are possibly doing more in the agri sector than the US or anybody. And that's simple. They don't grow the food, but they can afford to at least see the land in Nigeria or Brazil, encourage the people to grow, and then the food can come to them. China used to be very dependent on American farmers for food. But today, China is chopping across the world, looking for where they can get some of the basic food and they need their agricultural needs met. So if they can continue to do that, we also need to look in the direction of what is it that we depended on Americans for? Are there alternative sources? And I believe that there are. So we should focus on the easier alternatives.
Okay.
So our relationship with America is not that, should not be that of master slave. We are master to master. It should be collaborative, not dictatorial. So Trump at least has gone to China to dictate and fail, has gone to Venezuela to dictate and fail. He's gone to several places to know that his dictatorial tendencies cannot work. And if he's speaking on Nigeria, he realizes the importance of Nigeria to the African system. That's the practical reality. And the whole world wants the African market.
Does Nigeria realize their importance to the African markets themselves? Do we even realize, you know, our worth in Africa? Because quite a number of people, even after we've been designated country of particular concern, which I would like to see as a country of particular interest, they've called for diplomacy, cooperation between these two countries to address the security challenges rather than resorting to threats and military action. Now, does this, what you're saying, is it dousing the essence in what the U.S. saw in designating us as a CPC? Why do I say so? I'm saying so because there are certain indicators of a country that can draw for such designation. One of such that the U.S. had mentioned, talked about, they talked about attack on a particular religious group. That's Christianity. Another now is humanitarian. No, not humanitarian now. Human rights. And nobody seems to be talking about the human rights, you know, abuse. Does this douse the fact that these things that they say probably is more like the expression that we have that there's no smoke without fire?
Well, in practical case, you can't eat your cake and have it.
Right.
Clinton didn't come to Nigeria in Abacha days because he claimed human rights concerns. Obama did not sell to the Jonathan regime in the name of human rights concerns. So if you are on one part defending the insurgents in the name of human rights, you see today you are calling for the chief of army staff to be arrested, you are calling for this one to be tried and that to be tried. But the same people you want to try them for fighting are the same people creating security that on the other part you are profiling as religious or ethnic cleansing. So it leaves you in the middle that these guys just want, in my opinion, to talk without connecting or understanding what is on the ground. Because Amnesty is always there at loggerhead. Amnesty International is always there at loggerhead with the military for military action on insurgents and on bandits. And then at the same time, the people being killed by these insurgents and bandits, you are still blaming the government. So I think it should be more, like I said, American-Nigeria relationship should never be a master-slave.
Right.
As America thinks it's important to the world, Nigeria is more important than that to Africa. And so if we have played big brother for Africa, which is good for the continent, America should also recognize that when you are going into a house, right, you want to go and marry a girl, the girl has a senior brother. It doesn't matter if you are richer than the senior brother or not. You actually need to cooperate with him to make things happen at his own end before you claim you are taking the daughter. So to me, America, Trump, well, we also know that Trump's style is not the normal style. He does his own differently. And sometimes I think the guy Trump is like a businessman. The businessman put his ambition before his plan. That's the truth. So sometimes you can know, or you can know that, okay, this is the ambition of this man, and then he's putting up plans to work towards it. So I think that he needs to also sit back. And perhaps he's made those statements to watch the reaction from Nigeria. We shouldn't be rushing to go and beg. No. He should be the one still sitting down to see how do we get this resolved.
So that's the question.
Must put it on the...
So that's the question. Now that we have been named CPC, what should be the moves, maybe 5 moves that the Nigerian government must take to take advantage of it and do the needful?
Yeah. No, obviously, I also think that it is not good enough that for almost 18 months, we have run most of our embassies without an ambassador.
Well,
so this should also be a call on the president.
Mr. President has gone ahead to get, is it 14 ambassadors now?
Yeah, so let's have the ambassadors now put in place, because he's showing over and over again that we needed to do more diplomatically from our embassies and missions abroad. I think we cannot continue to run those places without functional head.
Understood.
So we need to do more.
Understood. Now, understood. My point exactly. My point exactly now is, what are we doing? What can we do to take advantage of the CPC thingy now? I mean, what must we fix? What should we do? What must we fix?
Like I said, somebody decides to call you a name, and the name is not yours. Then focus on the things that you need to do. Now, I'll take you back. In the Abacha days, there was the CBC report that talks about corruption and everything in our airports and the rest. What was the reaction of the government of that time? Number one was for, I think it was Colonel Jafar Isa, did that video that played back to say not in our character. And I'm sure that Jafar Isa eventually moved on to the US as military attaché. And we have a Musa Bamili at the time who was heading NDLA, who told the American state that, look, if your children are not consuming drugs, there will be nobody selling. So rather than harassing us to stop selling, which we know is wrong and we will do, you should also stop your children from consuming. And I knew that in that meeting, the American representative had no reply. I mean, when he said, look, it is a bigger crime to consume. Yes, it is a crime to produce. It is a crime to sell. We are only a Korean nation. We don't even produce. But the consuming nation at the time was America.
All right, let me put
it. And so if you don't bring your dollars to the market that you want to buy, there will be nobody coming to sell. Now, having given them that reply, he went ahead to deal with the people he caught out at Peru or are involved with money laundering in Nigeria. Okay. And the fight from that time till now has been continued. Nigeria is still fighting drugs.
Let me ask now.
But that has not taken it away from the fact that Americans are there consuming drugs. All right, the Americans are there killing their people every day. Whether with guns, in school and everywhere.
Aren't we supposed to learn from the bad and then see how we can deviate from bad that we see other people and then adopt the good? That's my question. Now, does it also remove the fact that we need to handle insecurity in this country? Now, I'm not about whether it's Christian, Muslim, or whatever. Nigerians, that's the identity, are dying in numbers, unattended. No, that's my point.
That's where I started from.
We are not really we're not talking about it. That's my point. I keep saying, how do we take advantage of it? How do we take advantage?
And that's why we're talking about protecting the resources, protecting the forest, protecting the land. If the president has talked about forest guard system, let's put them in place. We don't need to wait forever. It's in almost 6 months or more now. I think that we should sit down, and by now, those guys should already be in training. So whatever we protect life and property, we should continue to do it.
Okay.
Our resources, whether in the forest or on the streets, also need to be protected. Our people need to be developed. So we are not saying there are not dead, but we are saying that the nation would rather focus on improving his own internal security than responding to insinuations or distraction, in my opinion, from the American state.
All right, let me take a
If you have a plan of what you are going to do, just continue to do it.
Okay.
And make sure you are doing it well, and people are safe, and people can move around.
So for how long shall we wait for that when we incessantly see our brothers being killed day and night, and we're not seeing any move, any decisive move? That's what Nigerians are asking. But I've got some messages right here. This one is coming from Tekem Dundu and all the way from Nasarawa State. I want to ask our guest. I'm from Benue State right now as we speak. The Fulani jihadists have attacked my relatives from our village and are occupying the place where the village we're staying at in my uncle's house, using a new borehole to pump water for their cows. Anyone who died currently, we bury them in the nearby something. I don't know. This is not clear, Tekumbi. Is this what your guest called normal insecurity affecting all Nigerians? It goes on to saying this Fulani jihad killed children and women. The Nigerians refuse to arrest best known to them. Also refuse to arrest if until our people are wiped away entirely before Nigerian governments can stop the killers. That's what Tekumbi says. Now, we see another message coming from James, and he says, I find it really funny listening to everyone joining the government and being reactionary with our responses. That shows how low we have fallen as a nation, where people now choose to ignore facts. Fact check me if I'm wrong, Sire UD. I'll send you videos and links to videos from Reverend Ezekiel Dachomo and his family, and his many lamentations and exposition of what is happening in Plateau State. Why are we pretending these things don't happen? Am I the only one who's seen multiple clips of interviews of Reverend Dachomo and all the evidence of killings in communities, local governments, and killings areas and all? Everyone threatened by America's designation is as mischievous as the government. All the U.S. or was the government taken over? Expect the government to do the needs back, which is to assure the international community. And I see this one here. Good morning, Eagles F. Hall from Biko. To ask Mr. Speaker if he has ever been to these places where these people are being killed, and what are the statements these people who kill the vulnerable say before taking the alive from tribal government and is not to the many
killing.
That's right.
So talking about ethnic or religious profiling is not the issue. We are not safe. We are not safe. And that is where we should go. Now, people who are getting sentimental are actually part of the problem.
Okay.
If my classmates as officers, I've lost my classmates as men, whether in the northeast or in the southeast. Now, the people killed ever. So what we are saying is, forget the coloration of the killing. Let us address the insecurity in the land.
Okay.
And that's why I said, if the president has talked about the forest guard system, it should be in the front burner. Everybody should be asking questions. When are we recruiting them? When are we training them? And when are we deploying them?
That's the problem.
But nobody is talking about that. We are just talking rhetoric.
That's the problem.
That is one of the plans. That is one of the plans that can reposition our security system. There are too many ungoverned spaces, particularly in the forest. And so if you govern them, you would have reduced the spaces, available for bandits and insurgents and anti-state agents to operate. But most times, from the day the president mentioned that, not many people have decided to talk about
when
it.
You say
I
not many
think that
people,
when you have a solution in your hand, you should pursue the government to put that solution
pursue the government to put a solution in place about your people dying. I pursue my government. That's what Nigerians are asking.
No, and that's what I'm saying. You are talking about people dying. There is a solution that can ameliorate the death.
Yeah.
But we are abandoning the solution to cast blame for the death. No matter who you blame, the dead are dead. And if you don't address the root cause, more death will still happen.
Okay.
No, the America we are talking about are people dying from gun running every now and then.
That's right.
Are people being knifed to death in Britain? Yes, those governments are doing whatever they can, and nobody is breathing down on their head to do what they have to do. So I'm saying that rather than overlouding and hiding whatever Trump is saying, we should focus on our own solutions internally.
Okay.
How do we get our recruitment right? How do we ensure the people that goes into the security system and the defense forces are people who are concerned about solving problems and not people who want to earn salary?
Okay.
How do you ensure that our training and human capital, that those are where our focus should be? Okay. Yes, they have come to my village and this has gone wrong, and then I'm reacting based on that. No. Right? If I don't, when I was a child, I go through those forests and we go hunting, looking for rats, playing around. But today, I'm not sure people can go into them.
Right.
Well, if you have a proper security force here, the forest guard system in place, those games can return. Children can go back to see what the forest is like, what the flora and the fauna of the nation is like. Now, in those days, we used to talk about school on wheels. Yeah. I'm not sure that any parent will release his child to you to go on road touring Nigeria from July to August anymore.
So, Benedict,
if you do that campaign today, it will not happen. Well, but in my days in primary school, it was a good thing to want to do.
Right. So,
we should be looking at the solutions, not blaming, not apportioning blame, not repeating videos of what has already happened.
Okay.
What do we do to go forward?
All right.
Forest gas system is there. Recruitment. So a lot of people are not fit for the job, but they are on the job.
This is still a developed story, and we will still continue to talk about this because I believe personally, because I'm a Nigerian, I should also give my views on this one. I believe personally that the time has come and the time is now. We must get it rightly. We must get it rightly now. It's not about tomorrow. Nobody's talking about tomorrow. And for those who have been engaging in killings in the U.S. and all of that arbitrarily, we still see that they get caught and they face the law. And that's what it is. Nigerians are saying, these people who kill in whatever guise. Now, I keep saying it. I'm not about Christian, Muslim. I'm about Nigerians dying. Not Christian, not Muslim. Nigerians dying. If we cannot live up to expectation as a government, do the needful, get these people, prosecute them, and not rehabilitate them. It's not rehabilitation. Using our taxpayers' money, then it means we are totally failing. Or we have failed. But anyways, so Benedict, as I said, time is not allowing. It's still a developing story, and it's still continuing. As more facts come up, and we see what the Nigerian government will do in this regard, we will keep bringing them up on here, and hopefully maybe get you to the studio to also have a conversation, or better still, still have more voice conversations with you in the coming days. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate. All right. I know time is far spent. Sorry about that. And I know that. Okay. Anyways, I'll just leave it there. I'm sorry couldn't take your calls at this point. But then again, this conversation, you want to have a playback, go on Facebook, go on YouTube, and you will have a playback on it. And be sure to leave your comments because, as I said, the time has come and the time is now. My name is Uduak Daniel, and to each and every one of you that also had a conversation via WhatsApp, thank you. Far too kind, right? Views expressed has not also been altered or influenced by Eagles 102.3.